Coming up, a strong and powerful woman who is using her pen to inform us all about the great and obscure Tobi Rachel Akingbade. Journalist extraordinaire and editor-in-chief of Dream Nation is my guest today on Nancy Meets. What's it like working at Dream Nation?
Without sounding cliche, it is a dream job. I didn't know that it's the job that I wanted until it came by. I was like, this is exactly what I want to do, and it is such a privilege and honor for every work that I do, every piece of work I do, is to encourage people to be practical dreamers.
In an interview that filmed for over an hour, Toby talks about being a practical dreamer, her passion and hatred for journalism, and how she has leaned on her faith to get her through some tough times. And you'll find that Toby displays a determination and fearlessness that is in us all. And boy, was it on display when we spoke. It's all coming up right now as Nancy Meets begins. And a warm welcome from just beyond London Bridge for another edition of Nancy Meets. I'm Nancy Mills, glad that you are with me once again for another great interview. Committing pen to paper and writing your thoughts and feelings, or just informing others of the world around them, is not always an easy thing. You need flair, style, and perhaps a little bit of cheekiness to boot. And my guest today has all that and much more in abundance. Tobi Rachel Akingbade is a co-director and editor-in-chief at the social enterprise Dream Nation, an organisation which for some time has been making waves all over social media for its inspiring events and innovative editorials. Never in her wildest dreams did Tobi believe she would get here to this point of acclaim and success. And as you'll learn from our conversation, the journey has been anything but easy or quick. But the race is not for the swift, and Tobi has proved that time and chance have been key in allowing her today to tower over a great wealth of achievements. Tobi and I sat down some weeks ago at London's The Hoxton, and I began by asking her what a practical dreamer was and why we should, like her, seek to be one. What does it mean to be a practical dreamer?
Okay. A practical dreamer, aside from it being a little bit self-explanatory, is someone that not only has a dream but does something about it. A practical dreamer is someone that remembers that fear is a lie, that you can actually achieve anything you want to achieve as long as you work for it. A practical dreamer is someone that's audacious enough to go for what it is that they want, basically, in regards to their goals, career-wise, or even just any other aspirations.
Okay. And so for people in this millennial age, people like ourselves, why do you think it is so important for us to realise that we can actualise our dreams?
Also because I feel like, especially with millennials and going through the school system, especially the compulsory school system, we're not really taught those things. We're taught, do this and that so you can achieve this and that. And they're just basically standardized dreams that we're given. And as a child, you tend to be maybe very creative in the way that you think about things. As we grow older, we tend to get dampened by the fact that, okay, maybe I need to get this job to pay these bills, and these are the things that are expected of me. And I think it's very important that our generation remembers to be practical dreamers.
Yeah. So, but you wouldn't necessarily think that practical dreaming is only for creatives. Do you believe that people that have opted to go down the route of the academic route and coming out of the system, working a 9-to-5, can still be practical dreamers?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I do say creative, I don't really mean someone that paints or anything. I do believe that we are all creative. So even your accountant that works in Canary Wharf is creative, because the way that you process your thoughts are very creative. You have to think outside of the box to stand out. So practical dreaming is for absolutely everyone. So if your dream is that you want to work a 9-to-5 and do so in a high-rise building in the middle of the city, that is your dream, and you have every right to have that dream, and you should practically go ahead for that dream, even if it's going through an academic system.
Okay. So you work at Dream Nation, which literally champions the movement being practical dreamer. To be honest, this is where I first heard the term anyway. What's it like working at Dream Nation?
Without sounding cliche,
Yeah.
it is a dream job. I didn't know that it's the job that I wanted until it came by. I was like, this is exactly what I want to do, and it is such a privilege and honour for every work that I do, every piece of work I do, is to encourage people to be practical dreamers, and that is like, I've always been about that, like, to be able to be audacious and to have that faith to be able to do the things that God has told you to do, that you feel God has told you to do.
So you say that you're honoured to work there. You work as their editor-in-chief. When you joined, why did you join Dream Nation actually, first of all?
I joined having attended one of the first events when the team wasn't really a team yet. It was just an idea that our founder had. So, I mean, I joined because I felt it was the right thing to do. I also kind of, without sounding cliche, I had a dream that I was to work at Dream Nation, but I didn't know there wasn't an editorial side, so I didn't know it was a possibility, so I thought, oh, it's just a thing that I keep dreaming about. I didn't actually realise it could be possible, so when the opportunity came about, I was like, oh my gosh, like, of course I would do this.
So with the editorial side, I would say that it's grown over the years, because it kind of started with mainly the events and the networking, and then you came into your role and you've kind of like literally spearheaded that movement in regards to blog posts and what you guys share. Do you think it's literally your sole input that's caused Dream Nation to kind of go down that route in regards to sharing their content?
Definitely not a sole input. I have an amazing team. So with us, it's, you know, teamwork really does make the dream work, and I feel so bad with the cliches, but the cliches
are kind of hard not to use it when the company's called Dream Nation.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm also, every time I use the word dream, it's like I realise I'm using the word dream, but cliches are cliches because they're true. And teamwork does make the dream work, so it's not my sole input. It's a lot of discussions before even the world knew that there was going to be an editorial team, and then even having such an amazing team that is able to help me see reality to the visions that I have.
So you do have an amazing team. Obviously you're one of a few workers at Dream Nation, and Claude Williams is the founder and your managing director. What's it like working with Claude Williams?
It's a lot of fun, and it's also challenging, but not in a negative way. It challenges me to be a better person. So like, anyone that does work with him knows that it's very different opposed to other places I've worked with. There's one of the things we are trying to do within Dream Nation, apart from what people can see on the outside, is setting a culture for a team culture within us. Like understanding why when we worked in our other jobs are these things done? Why do we start at 9 to 5? Should we start 9 to 5? You know, little things like that, and it's been very challenging for me to, and again, not the negative connotation of challenging, but it's really provoked a thought within me on how I do things and why I do things the way that I do them.
So I noticed, I think it was literally not too long ago, where I think the most recent, if it's not the most recent, then quite recent blog post on Dream Nation's website was where all the team members were asked why they work at Dream Nation, and you all came with your various answers. And the subject line for yours was quite interesting. Do you want to explain that?
If I remember correctly, I think the subject line of mine was, why join Dream Nation? I would have made a rubbish stripper.
Okay, so just elaborate. I mean,
there was context to how it happened. So I mean, the article actually came out, but it was actually private. So what happened was, within our team, again, we do things quite differently. So we have some of us are full-time, some of us are part-time, some of us aren't in London. So there's a team bonding moment. There's an app called Slack where you can communicate with team members. So within that, our managing director, Claude Williams, he posted up a video of himself, and it was like, hi guys, good morning. I just want everyone to share why they joined Dream Nation. So the answers came flooding in. So this was a private exercise. So I was like,
hoping that it would remain a private.
Yeah, but I did. Obviously, as editor-in-chief, I allowed it to be public. But initially, when I said that, I was like, I would have made a rubbish stripper, and then I went on to explain my point. My point was, I had attended the first Dream Nation event in 2013, and at this point, to be quite candid, I was quite depressed. I just felt like a failure. I'd failed university, and I was like, do you know what? I walked into the first Dream Nation event not really wanting to be there, but obviously I picked myself up to be there. And at this point I was like, I'm just going to be a receptionist, and I don't want to use the word just like to say that people who are receptionists, that there's anything wrong with it, but I've always wanted to be a journalist. So when I say I just wanted to be a receptionist, it was for me to like kind of eradicate and get rid of that journalism dream. Or a stripper, and then I wrote in quotation marks, one of them is a lie. So it was like a running joke within the team, so I allowed that to go into the article, like I would have been a stripper or a receptionist, and then to say, well, I would have made a rubbish stripper anyway, which is why I joined Dream Nation. But it's just a headline really.
So what was it particularly about that Dream Nation event, the first one that you went to, that really, hit the green light in your mind that, I'm here to chase my purpose, chase my dream? What was it about the event?
It was mainly the speakers and the vibe in the room, and just how hungry people were for their dreams and how honest people were about not wanting to go for their dreams. I think that's a discussion that needs to be had. It's all great when people are like, yeah, I'm going for my dreams, but we have to be honest, when you don't feel like going for your dreams, you acknowledge your dream, but you just you feel like you cannot go for it. So there were two speakers, all the speakers were great, but there were two speakers who really, really stood out for me, and I still have the notes on my phone. Thank God for Apple, they saved the notes. So I mean, one of the people was Andre Anderson, and he said that now is the best time to create. Like, when you have an idea, just go for it now. And then there's another speaker called Caleb Meekins, and he spoke about his fear of failure and overcoming the fear of failure. He has this 40 days of failure challenge where he sets out to fail, so that he is able to be less afraid of failure, because your goals and your failures are right next door to each other. If you're afraid to head for that failure, you're not going to go towards that goal, so you're just going to be stagnant. So I actually left, honestly, like without sounding like it was a movie. I walked out of there like a new person, like oh my God, I could actually graduate if I wanted to. I can actually be a journalist if I wanted to. And then from then on, I practically became the person I am today, and I'm still becoming a better person. And then ironically, I joined the Dream Nation team.
Okay. So obviously in your circumstance, it was life-changing for you. What do you think is Dream Nation's role in changing people's lives? So, I mean, you guys obviously have networking events, people come together, they share ideas, but what's the aftermath? What is actually Dream Nation's goal? Dream
Nation, we have many goals, and some of which that I'm trying to remember which ones I can and can't say. But we have many goals, but I mean, we don't, what people see of us today is not what we want to continue doing. We want to expand that. So kind of think of like Virgin when they have different sectors. So one of the things that we have publicly spoken about is getting into recruitment. So also helping people who are recruiting and people that want to recruit, enabling. There's like, it's kind of hard to get certain jobs because of maybe who you are or who you don't know. And I'm not talking about just race, I'm talking about class as well. So bridging those gaps. So there's a lot of work going behind the scenes in making that happen. So that is one of the ways that we do so. But for now, what people do see is literally empowering people with the tools and the ideas to encourage them to be practical dreamers.
So would you say recruitment is only going to be one factor of hopefully what Dream Nation becomes in the future?
One of many. One of many.
And then in regards to your role at Dream Nation, do you think that this is it for you? Do you know that Dream Nation is where you want to remain? Or is it like a stepping stone, maybe onto something else at all?
That is an interesting question. For now, I don't know. The way that I live my life is, I actually do wake up every day and think, okay, God, what is the plan? Because one thing that I have learned is, you can make all the plans you want in the world, and if you want to make God laugh, just tell him your plans, and he'll be like LOL to you. I have made so many plans in my life, like literally, I'm 24 years old, and I am not where I thought I would be. But the funny thing is that I am in a better position than I could have ever imagined, especially spiritually. So I make plans, but I hate to say that this is it. I do want this to be it, but if God honestly said to me, okay, you've done your part, you've done what I told you to do, I would gladly I might hesitate, but I will gladly obey that. So I hate to say that, but I do want, that's my desire to literally to literally watch this glow to like #1 spot in the world. That's what I want.
I mean, it is an amazing goal to have. Obviously you want to see, you know, a startup company like just blow, and you want to be a part of it. You do mention a lot that obviously your decision making comes from, you know, your interaction with God, listening, all the steps you've taken has been because you believe that God has told you to be there. How much has faith, like, you know, played a role in you coming into Dream Nation, deciding what you do now? What's your journey with God like, you know, infused into work?
It's completely 100% infused. All of working with Dream Nation full time, that had to be like a pray and fasting decision, because there were other opportunities, there were other things I could have done, and it's like, this is not certain. Like, working for a startup full time, it's not a joke, it's not easy, it's not glamorous at all, it's not like what they show on Silicon Valley or The Social Network. As much as I loved those shows in that movie, it's not anything like that. It's so hard. And the decision you make doesn't only affect you, it affects your future. So like, I'm thinking about, okay, like, I may have kids soon, like, can I still do this when I have kids? It affects the people I live with, my family, it affects my friendships, my social life. So it's like a big decision. It was like, I had to really, really pray about it. But the wonderful thing is, and I feel very privileged, is that with the core members of my team, I'm able to pray with them. So Dream Nation isn't a Christian organization, but I'm blessed to be working with some Christians. So I mean, in every step of the way, I have to pray about it. Even with like articles ideas now, it's just like, you're one article away from being sued or imprisoned. So I pray about it. Like I literally, even with tweeting now, I've experienced that you're one tweet from going viral. So you have to be very mindful.
You have to be careful. So you work at Dream Nation full time, and you're obviously one of the core members of the team. But then I assume outside of that, you do a lot of your own projects, or you're freelancing and doing work for other people. How are you balancing the two?
In all honesty, I would not. Well, not in the way that I would wish. So like, you know, when you have goals in which the things that you want to do, and one of the things I've had to learn is that I'm not Superwoman, and that is not in any way to deflate what people can do or what they can't do. So I'm at the stage now in being very blunt and honest, where I'm very much learning on how to really balance freelance and full-time, because it is a desire of mine to, I completely 100% love my job, but I do want to, especially in journalism, be able to kind of like pitch an article to other people. Not so much for myself. It's weird. I want to do it because I want to learn from people that are way above me. So being able to like pitch 1 or 2 articles to them, see how they respond to that, so that I can bring back that knowledge to my team and better my team members. But I'm not where I want to be, but the way that I do balance is by organizing my time, like very vividly. Like, I mean,
quite disciplined.
If I know that, okay, today I'm going to be in office at 10 a.m. because we don't do 9 to 5. If I know that I want to be in office at 10 a.m., then I'm going to be up at 6:30. So that I can get other things done. And then I have my me time as well, and then I get into the office for 10 a.m. And if I maybe need to attend an event elsewhere, I know I've planned my times. Okay, do I need to write 3 paragraphs and I don't have time in the office or elsewhere? I will do that on the train on my phone. So it is a lot of vivid timekeeping, which I learned from being in uni full time and working full time as well.
So have you ever felt that sometimes your freelance work or any projects that you are doing outside of Dream Nation are maybe detriment to your full-time job there at all? Has it ever been a case where you've had to choose in any moment?
No, I haven't. Mainly because I've never felt I had to choose, because I know what I prioritize. So I know what is the #1 spot, and as of this moment, the commitment that I have to Dream Nation, knowing that, okay, I've committed to do this full time, takes #1 spot. So if I feel like I can't do this, I say no. That I actually can't do this, and I think about it, and I do pray about it as well. So, but I haven't. I would love to give you a complicated answer, but I haven't
You don't
struggled
have
yet.
No, it's fine. It's okay. So you did say that you go into the office at 10 a.m., which isn't the norm for most companies.
Or 11.
Yeah. But was it literally, is it like a stroll in when you feel like it?
No,
it's not that relaxed,
it's not that relaxed, but because obviously as a journalist and I may need to be elsewhere in the morning, may have to interview somewhere else. So every day is different. I don't know when I will get into the office or when I would leave. But I do make that plan every morning. Okay, this is the plan for the morning. But I can't tell you what time I'm going to start work on Friday.
Wow.
Because something may come up like, oh, you've been invited to interview this so-and-so, this person. Okay. So it's very flexible and I love it that way.
Yeah. The fact that it's flexible, does it throw you off a bit? Like the fact that you can go to work and no 2 days are ever the same, like apart from, you know, the other side of it is that, you know, people go to work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's only Thursday. We get Friday. And then you get up, rest on the weekend, and then go back to Monday and do exactly the same thing. But that's not the case with you guys. So, like, what's the nature in the office like, and how is everyone else finding it?
We've actually discussed this like quite often at work, and it can be tiring if you don't look after yourself. So if you don't look after yourself, if you don't take care of yourself before you try and attend to other people and serve other people, you can't serve other people properly. But it is something that I've always wanted. Excuse me. I have worked 9 to 5, or I have worked retail jobs, where every day is the same. And I feel so privileged to not have to work a day that is like another day, because I have done that, and I thought I was going to lose my mind. I just knew that this is not, and I think this is where God was planting it within my heart, because I have worked in like other publications, and like I said, I've worked in retail jobs as well, and in those publications everyone was like, yay, 9 to 5, out, in and out, and I knew that it wasn't for me, and I felt like God was planting that within me. Like, so when G Nation came about and it was fairly flexible, I was like, of course, this is what I've always wanted. So it didn't throw me off, but I've had to learn to really look after myself.
Okay, cool. So Be Well was a campaign that was run by Dream Nation, and I believe was, you know, forefronted by yourself. And it was looking at, obviously, people's stories about their mental health in regards to being creatives. Why was it so important for you that we spoke about that project as a community?
Mainly because I recognised that it became a taboo, and it just kept coming to mind. Like the idea would not leave me alone. So I was like, I have to execute this idea to do an editorial campaign that by God's grace can expand to other things, really discussing mental health, but away from the stigma of mental health, because I feel like when people think about mental health, they think of maybe schizophrenia, they think of, nowadays, especially recently, if someone has done something very violent, they think, oh, they have mental health issues. But as long as you have a mind, which we all do, you have a conscious mind, you have a mental health. As much as you have a physical body, you have a physical health. And I recognize that we just don't look after our mental health. We don't even think about our mental health. A lot of us may be going through things and not be aware of them, because we're not diagnosed with anything. You don't have to be diagnosed with anything to take care of your mental health. And especially with our generation, I feel like we just have it so hard. Even growing up with, you know, like the pressures online and stuff like that. And also, I feel like the common narrative is like, oh, I graduated and I thought there'll be a job for me. Things like that really affect us, affect our mind. So I thought, why not do an editorial campaign away from the stigma and realizing that everyone has a mental health, not that that person has a mental health issue. Exactly. Okay. So that's why I did that, and it was for everyone, for creators, people who aren't creators, for academics, for people who are in school, any walk of life. I wanted it to be able to resonate with everyone. Yeah.
And still to come on Nancy Meets.
It would have definitely been something that I've gone through, and I did go through a time where I didn't know what was going on with my mind. I didn't know how to even face it or to go through it, but thank God I did. And I didn't, you know, get diagnosed with anything, but looking back, I really did recognize, okay, I was really going through some stuff.
Recent events in the news have proven that the ugly head of racism still exists and loom large in our worlds. We often hear of stories of racial abuse being hurled at innocent individuals, but imagine being racially taunted about one of the happiest days of your life. Well, Toby was, and it wasn't pretty, but she dealt with it with a grace and elegance and attributes it all to her faith. Take a look. Did you think you saw it coming at all?
The funny thing is, I had gone viral from the original tweet before in September, the day I graduated, and I was like, why do people care I graduated? So like the viral part, I'd experienced that, but I didn't experience to go viral again. But I was shocked and not shocked. So like, I know these things happen to people, but I never in a million years thought that it would happen to me.
Welcome back to Nancy Meets. I'm Nancy Mills, and let's get straight back into conversation with the brilliant Tobi Rachel Akingbade. So, when speaking about it, we tend to say that we don't talk about it enough in regards to the sphere that you're talking about, where we haven't technically gone to see a doctor and we haven't been diagnosed, or we're not clinically depressed, but there are traces that you can see from early stages that we don't talk about. But we've got to a stage where we are now talking about that we're not talking about it enough. Where everyone's saying that we don't talk about it enough. Who's meant to be talking about it, do you think? And what sort of light should we be shining on it, on the issue itself?
I think mental health issues should be discussed by absolutely everyone, but when I think now it's great that we're saying, oh, we're not talking about it enough, but I think it's now important because I kind of see people talking about it online. I don't actually see people sitting down talking to their friend and having that difficult conversation. Like, I think maybe you're going through something, or that friend saying to their friends, guys, I think I might be depressed right now, and this is why my behavior is a bit off. Like, please don't distance yourself from me. I need you. That kind of thing. So I would love the conversation to now shift from online, which is a great starting point, to actual real life. And even in working places, even within our families. A lot of the people that wrote for the mental health campaign for Be Well said that, you know, they'd gone through maybe 2 years of extreme depression and their family didn't know because they could not tell their parents that they were depressed. Even it's just a difficult thing to tell your parent, and depending on what background you come from, especially in the church or, you know, from a Christian background, it's difficult to say that because there's a stigma like, oh, are you possessed? Or but it's our health, you know, it's beyond that. So
I mean, we, especially in the church, we do get the cases where it's like, you're fine, you just need to pray, or, you know, just believe that you're going to be okay, or it's nothing, just you'll get over it. But there are people that suffer from like severe anxiety that, you know, they need to get help with. Where do you think faith plays a role in that then, in getting help?
I mean, I think faith plays a massive role in getting help, and I wouldn't ever advise Christians to distance themselves from the church when they're going through things like that, because the argument is that there is a spiritual element to it, but I think it's also important to not be afraid to get professional help. If you feel you need it, and even if you feel you don't need it, you've reached out for that help. And I think it's very important. There's an article in Be Well which basically says, you know, this pastor, he wrote an article for Be Well where he said that he hopes that the church and, you know, the professional side can meet together and work together in giving people help and even starting discussions on mental health.
Why do you think it is so difficult for the church, and maybe predominantly the black church, to actually discuss these issues and not shun any sort of professional help for mental health issues?
I mean, a part of me feels it's got a lot to do with black history, but without going into sounding like Malcolm X on the things that black people have suffered. But the church was historically used to black people, for black people, to be like, don't worry about what you're going through. The joy of the Lord is your strength, you know? And that's saying it, but in the Psalms, the same person that wrote the Psalms, if we believe it or not, he was very depressed. I mean, the Psalms are there.
You can see that
David was struggling with a lot, and in that struggle, he found the joy in the Lord. But it doesn't help to say, oh, joy is the Lord your strength. Why are you so upset? Smile. God is good. We know that, but we are humans and we are struggling. We've read how the anxiety that Jesus had when he bled tears, like that is extreme anxiety. That's extreme. That's an extreme form of what's going on inside you, manifesting in the physical. So it's there in the scriptures. Job, come on. So it's there in the scriptures, and I do hope that people are able to have discussions beyond saying the joy of the Lord is your strength. You know.
Do you think you wanting to make sure that this campaign happens came from any sort of, personal cases where you believe that you've, had any sort of mental health issue or suffered from depression or anxiety? Or was it just something that you knew was important to talk about?
Interesting question. No one's ever asked me that before. But yes, I don't think I could have thought of this out of the blue. It would have definitely been something that I've gone through, and I did go through a time where I didn't know what was going on with my mind. I didn't know how to even face it or to go through it, but thank God I did. And I didn't, get diagnosed with anything, but looking back, I really did recognize, okay, I was really going through some stuff. And I've come through it, and I now know how to really lean on God when you get, I don't know, the blues, or if you're depressed or anything like that. So even going through that very much alone and silently, like not telling a soul, because I didn't know there was anything to tell anyone. I don't want anyone else to go through that. People go through these things, and I'd also seen things with someone very close to me who I had no idea was going through anything, who attempted to take their life. And it's just like, but I'm your friend. I can't believe I didn't know this. But for them also, they were like, but I didn't let it show. I would laugh the loudest, I just didn't let it show. So things that it just stuck in my mind, like, we're going through this. This is not something that you see just on EastEnders. It's something that people you're looking at today are going through. Like everyone has the ability to go through it so far. They have a mind,
Is it something that you would definitely do again? Or do you think there's enough awareness has been raised, or do you think there's a lot more to do from Dream Nation in particular?
I don't think enough awareness has been raised. So we are planning Be Well again for September next year. For September this year.
Okay, that's good. So you're someone that champions being yourself, being open and being you. Your Twitter bio, like literally, you use the words whenever you can possibly and put it everywhere. And I do love that about you, that you are able to be yourself unapologetically. Not many people are fearless enough to do that. Why do you think it is so important that we really do come into ourselves as people and literally walk in our purpose?
Because it's so easy to be yourself. And the minute that I recognized that I wasn't truly being myself unapologetically, and the minute I tried to be myself unapologetically, I was like, this is so easy. Like, life is so much simpler being yourself, the way that you were intended to be. Like, God created me in a particular way. It's such an insult for me to then turn around and try and be something else. Like, he took time out to create me as awesome as I am, and then that is, and I'm not afraid to say that anymore, to say I am pretty alright, I'm awesome, because if you don't say it, who will? Like, if you can't walk around waiting for people to be like, oh, you're so beautiful, like, you honestly have to believe that yourself. And I recognize that within myself when I started to be myself unapologetically, loving myself fearlessly, and even looking at myself in the mirror and be like, do you know what, you're not actually ugly, like you're okay, like, do you know what I mean? You're buff. And then that's when people started complimenting me. And not that I was seeking the compliments, but
you had to believe it.
I had to believe it. And it was a testament to that. Those words of affirmations that you give yourself. And in being myself unapologetically, I was able to discover the paths I was supposed to take. Because I can't forge any other path. I can't forge Nancy's path. I can't forge Becky's path. I can only do me. Do you know what I mean? And in doing me, I'm just so much more happy. I feel like that's where happiness does begin, and just being yourself.
Yeah. Do you think there's still more work? I mean, the journey is long. I've known that myself. Like, I got to a point where I just got up literally every morning. You have to tell yourself that amazing, because I've just got to the point where no one else is going to do it for me. I have to do it myself. And you genuinely are so much more happier and so much more joyful in what you're doing. We're both women, we're both black, we both live here in the UK. It's been a movement for quite a while where women like ourselves are literally just coming into their own and owning a lot of spaces in regards to being creatives, working in their fields, no matter what they're doing. Why do you think that's happening now? Do you think that it's sprung up from nowhere? Do you think that it was like kind of a pot that was bubbling? Where do you think it's come from? Yeah,
I think that there's only so much people can be oppressed before they realise, I don't deserve this. And I feel like I've noticed, like, historically, and I spoke to someone much older, it kind of happens in seasons where people are just, they allow themselves to be oppressed for so much, when suddenly maybe it takes one person to be like, hey, we don't deserve this. And then being just very free about yourself, especially as a black woman. And I feel like it is so beautiful. Like, solidarity is such a beautiful thing, and it's contagious as well. And I feel like it took one person to be like, I don't need to let society do this to me. And then other people, someone else is like, hey, like, she's looking all right. I'm going to try and be myself as well. And then it's just very contagious. And I feel like we all have that responsibility within ourselves, because someone else is watching you. I have no idea who is watching me, but I feel like someone is watching me and could learn from me being very free and carefree in who I am. Granted, obviously, it's not like I'm 100% carefree. There are times when I'm a bit like, but it's being intentional in doing so. That is very beautiful.
So do you think in our time and in scenes that we've had that one person? Do you think there was one person that, you know, hit the first domino? Or do you think it's just bits and pieces? Like, we have our hashtags, we have, you know, stories of people going viral, just doing amazing things as black girls, as black women. Do you think it was one person that, like, set it all off? Or do you think we've all just, like, we've just become more aware that, you know, black women that are in the spotlight are doing so much now?
I mean, I think, like, it's a domino effect. So technically it would take one person. We probably would never ever know who that one person was, you know. Technically there tends to be, like, faces to movements and stuff like that, but it tends not to be that person that started it. And it's not so much about who started it, it's about the fact that it's happened. And I think for our generation, as much as I hate the internet, I do love it for what it's able to house. Like, we've been able to get a voice where, you know, people are able to share with each other. Obviously people share absolute rubbish as well alongside that, but it is beautiful, and I think that's what our generation has that is different. We have all these different platforms where we're able to use them for good. So I think that's it.
So obviously there are dark sides to the internet, and you yourself, unfortunately, you've had to experience it yourself. So we'll talk about that. So, I mean, obviously, university was a longer journey for you than it may be for some, due to personal stuff that you said that you wouldn't go into talking about. But you finally got to the other side. You graduated, and, you know, unfortunately, you were trolled online. When that happened, like, I know that you have detailed how it made you feel, but was it like a grand shock? It was like, wow, in 2016, this actually still happens? Or, you know, did you ever see it like it was possible due to the state that the internet is in at the moment? Like, anything can happen to anyone. I could come out on a timeline, someone's minding their own business, literally a picture will be with them, and then it will go viral like that. Like, did you think you saw it coming at all?
The funny thing is, I had gone viral from the original tweet before in September, the day I graduated. And I was like, why do people care I graduated? So, like, the viral part, I'd experienced that. But I didn't experience to go viral again. But I was shocked and not shocked. So, like, I know these things happen to people, but I never in a million years thought that it would happen to me. And then my reaction to that made me feel so responsible in then to not let it I can't stop it happening to other people, but to kind of like use it as an opportunity to raise awareness of the way you use social media, you know, responsibility, using social media responsibility, a social responsibility, even raising awareness on racism and being, because the way I was trolled was a racist social attack. So because I reacted that way, like, I can't believe this happened to me, I realized it could happen to anyone else, and I would at least like to have an input in reducing that in one way or the other. I feel like silence protects no one, so if I stayed silent and just didn't do anything about it, it doesn't protect anyone.
You didn't stay silent, but your reply was like one of the most graceful I've ever seen in regards to response to such a situation. There are so many words you could have said, but I'm assuming by faith, or maybe the God in you, it didn't allow you to do that, and you know, the spirit within you asked you to handle it in such a way. How did you suppress what you were really, really feeling and write such a letter?
That's a good question. How did I? Well, I would. People witnessed my reaction, and we, you know, if you've read the open letter that I wrote to the to the troll, what I felt and what I wrote was honestly my honest reaction, as hard as it may seem to believe. Like, people maybe would have thought that, oh, you must have controlled yourself to not swear at him. I just felt what I wrote is honestly what I felt, and that is not to big myself up. It's just a testament to the God that I serve, because I recognize, even from your question, I recognize that it was possible for me to feel another way. And if I felt that other way, I probably would have let everyone know that that's how I felt. Not really someone that minces their words. So everyone would have known how I felt, and I would have dealt with it differently by maybe attacking that person. But it is by God's grace that I did not feel that way. And the way I felt is what I wrote down, because I wrote that letter very instantly. I wasn't going to publish that. It was just, I needed to express myself because I was so hurt, and I just felt so disheartened that this could happen in this day and age. And then also reminding myself, well, of course it happens in this day and age, because no one's told people that you can't do blackface. You can't speak to people like this online, that there's another person on the other side of the screen. Which is why I wrote that. So it was a very organic letter, which I didn't have 50 drafts for it. What I wrote on my phone is what I published. Because I didn't know it was going to go viral. But thank God no typos, because, you know. But that was my honest reaction. And it's just basically a testament to the God I serve and the counselors that I have. Like, my pastor's amazing. And she's always taught me these things ahead of time, as in, what I mean by ahead of time is that these lessons of, you know, the art of forgiveness, the art of being graceful. She's even had a sermon on being careful in what you post on social media the week before this happened to me. So it is a lot about the people that you surround yourself with as well, and the lessons that she taught me instantly went within that letter.
And like you said already, you do have a great support system at work as well. I believe, like, in the first half of the letter, you did state that as to when you saw the post, you were actually at work in the office.
Yeah, I was.
What was that moment like? Like, so you had your team members, well, maybe not all of them around you, but you had some of them around you. What was their support like in that period of time?
Amazing. Because I described how I was shocked, like her, like what, and even the fact that I was crying was a shock to me, because I'm not a crier, like seriously, I do not cry for anything. So I was like, what is this on my face? And then for them to be like, what happened? Like, why are you crying? And then they just sat me down and they spoke to me like, you know, we're really sorry this happened to you. And then they asked me how I felt, opposed to telling me how I should feel. And then I kind of told them, and they were like, well, write this down. And then after I wrote it down, you should publish this. I was like, I should let...
Just like people read it? Like,
so I published it, and then I had no idea that it would go viral, and that I would...
got a habit of going viral with Toby. Like, let's be honest.
But believe it or not, just no idea. Like, you don't sit down and think, this is... I've never met anyone that goes viral, so I don't know if people are like, this one will go viral.
Maybe this one won't.
I didn't think that way at all. I just thought I had a responsibility to the troller to tell him about himself that this is not what you do. And then what happened. So
you have garnered like a lot of online attention. You online attention. You've done a lot of like interviews in regards to what has happened, and maybe just in regards to your life in university and everything in general. What's that like? Do you think that's something that you're going to keep talking about? You did say that, you know, people are still asking you about it. You're still talking about it, even almost, you know, over a year on. Will you keep talking about it, or will you just get to a stage where you'll be like, okay, I've spoken about this enough now. What's the next step? Yeah.
Believe it or not, I didn't want to talk about it at all. And I almost don't, but I feel like the story and the responsibility is greater than me. So like when journalists were calling me from huge newspapers, got my number or calling me asking for quotes, I didn't want to do it. But even praying about it was like, this is the life I've been given, and there's a responsibility within it. There's a greater good. So even just for me to sacrifice or let go of the comfortability, like to being comfortable and being vulnerable, it's something that I recognize I have to do to be able to kind of help people. So I will keep talking about it if people ask.
Keep asking.
And it's not. I feel like for me to not talk about it would kind of be robbing people maybe of a story that could help them. So which is why I will continue to talk about it, but I wouldn't make it like, I don't want to be known as the girl that failed university so many times and was trolled online. Like I hope there's another chapter to my life.
So what does the next chapter look like for you? I know before you did mention that Dream Nation, you are happy, you know, don't necessarily know what is next, but is there anything that you do want to achieve for yourself that necessarily you haven't done already that you are happy to talk about? What does the future look like for Toby?
Definitely. When I was younger, I really wanted to be Oprah. And
I mean, because everyone else wants to be Oprah.
But I studied like Oprah's business model, and there's a lot of things that she does that people aren't aware of, and she's like one of the top 10 media moguls in the world. So I also want to be one of the top 10 media moguls, but not now. I've grown older and I realized that I just want to be me and not be Oprah. But I'm glad that her business mind inspired me. So I'm obsessed with movies, absolutely obsessed. I studied like one too many modules in university in film, so script writing is something I do secretly now. People know.
Now everyone knows.
As I said, I was like, whoops. So yeah, like getting into different forms of media to really impact the media, because believe it or not, I hate the media, yet I work in the media. I am fueled by the things I detest. So to really make an impact in the media.
And many thanks to Tobi Rachel Akingbade for sitting down to chat with me. And if you want to find out more information about Dream Nation, why not visit their websites, dreamnation.co.uk. And as always, there is lots more from my interview with Toby. Check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/Nancy Meets, for more clips from my interview with Toby. Next week, I'm speaking to Mobile Award winner Faith Child about the state of the UK gospel scene, double standards for artists, and how he deals with ladies slipping into his DMs. All that up ahead next week. But for now, from all of us on the team, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Nancy Meets. Goodbye.